All right, this is one of the most intense stories I've ever read. A man amongst men, Mr. Mario Cockrell, who saved 20 other miners by climbing up and down a pipe with them on his shoulders. Well, in South Africa, it's just another day at the office going down the gold mine shaft. It was a 16-minute ride and over a mile deep. About 10 minutes into the ride, it stops. As it stops, they start hearing the cables dropping on top of the roof. As the cables piled up on the elevator shaft, they realized that the elevator was stuck on something, but as soon as it became free, they were going to free fall. Mario pushed everybody to the side and said, "We got to get out of here." He opened the elevator door and there was basically darkness. But by sheer luck, the elevator had stopped exactly level with a horizontal reinforcement beam that provided about 18-inch wide ledge for him to step onto. As he made his way around the beam, rocks would fall off of it and he wouldn't hear them land. Then out of nowhere, a burst of dust flew in his face and he realized something horrific. The other elevator above them was coming down right on top of him. In about 60 seconds, it would hit their elevator and they would... Looking down into the abyss, he saw 37 feet below, at the 3,700-foot level beneath the surface, a telephone and emergency button for halting the cars in the shaft. He's like, "I've got to get to it." And he only had 60 seconds to do so because the other elevator was coming down on top of him. He noticed one of the pipes going down the elevator shaft was just small enough for his arms to grip around, so he jumped onto it and slid down. When he squeezed to brake, all the dried up debris ripped his skin off his hands. Then, the pipe started to bend and pull away from the wall. So he let himself go and fell further. Finally, after falling 37 feet, he hit the crossbeam. But there was a 5-foot gap he had to jump over. He made the jump, grabbed onto a gutter, and just as he pulled his hands away, the gutter fell. He was standing on the edge of this thing, balancing, and eventually got himself inside. Getting to the emergency alarm, he punched through the glass with his fist and turned it off. The other elevator screeched to a halt, just feet from the other elevator being crushed down. He called on the telephone, said, "Keep the brakes on and move nothing." The men started saying, "We're gonna die, we're gonna die." And just then, Mario started climbing back up the pipe. As he made it back up to the elevator shaft, he said, "Come on, we can go. Just look what I'm doing and follow me." Nobody moved. But as his light had actually shined around underneath the elevator, he noticed what had happened. The guide rails had become twisted, and all that was doing was resting on a small 1-inch piece of metal with a few screws. The whole elevator could come down at any minute. He said, "The thing is going to fall at any minute. You guys need to hold your breath and come with me." Once again, nobody moved. That's when Mario grabbed the smallest guy and pulled him towards him. Holding him in midair, he said, "Look, I can carry you, let's go." The man threw his arms around Mario's neck, and hand over hand, they descended down the pipe. They reached level 37, but now he had to figure out how to get this guy over the 5-foot jump. Fortunately for all the men there, Mario had often performed a barroom trick he learned from a book by Houdini, and he used his body as a bridge. The man scared, saying, "You'll never be able to hold me." Mario replied, "Yes, I will, believe in me." The man crossed and made it safely. Mario pulled himself up, and with bloody hands, climbed back up the pipe again. He repeated this 19 times, and that's when he went back up for the last person. The elderly man stepped out onto his shoulders. But just near the end of the descent, Mario's hand slipped. Fortunately, his boots caught the crossbeam and they stayed there. And one last time, he reached his body across as a human bridge, and the final man made it across that 5-foot gap. As he was helped up to the platform, he poured himself a cup of tea, made a phone call, and said, "We're all safe." At that point, they sent another elevator down to pull the men back up. Less than 4 hours after the whole ordeal had begun, Mario was back home in bed with his wife. But he didn't wake her, he just went to bed. He couldn't keep it a secret for very long, because the next day he woke up and his hand was swollen as he had fractured it from punching the fire alarm. He confessed that there had been some trouble at the mine, but everything was okay. 6 months after the incident, Mario Cockrell was awarded the South African mining industry's highest decoration for bravery.